Rain hammered the streets of Prague as the clock struck midnight. Neon lights flickered across puddles, painting the wet pavement in blood red and gold. Inside an abandoned tram station, a man sat alone. Ethan Cross, former intelligence operative, now a ghost. He hadn't been seen in 5 years. Not since Operation Helix, the mission that turned him from a hero into a fugitive. They'd said he betrayed his country, that he killed his entire team. Lies. All of it. But when the agency you serve decides you're the enemy, the truth doesn't matter anymore. Ethan's quiet exile ended when the phone on the table buzzed. A known number. He hesitated. Nobody should have this line. He answered anyway. Cross. He said quietly, "Ethan, it's me." The voice was female, sharp, urgent, familiar. Lena Voss, his former handler, the only one who ever believed he'd been framed. "They found you," she said, "and they're moving. I can't protect you anymore. You need to disappear again." Ethan's eyes flicked to the CCTV feed on his laptop. 3 SUVs screeched to a stop outside. Men in tactical armor poured out, moving like a well-trained hit squad. "Too late," he muttered. Ethan grabbed his duffel, 2 pistols, a compact SMG, and a data drive labeled Helix. The last piece of evidence he'd risked everything to steal. The proof that his government was running black site experiments on civilians. Glass shattered as flashbangs rolled across the floor. Light, sound, chaos. Ethan dug behind a concrete pillar, returning fire. Bullets cracked the air, sparks showered from steel beams. He moved like a ghost, silent, precise, deadly. 3 agents down, 2 more flanking left. He ducked, fired twice, and silence followed. Then came the hum of a helicopter overhead. He sprinted through the tram tunnel, gunfire chasing his heels. The tunnel opened into the river, dark and raging. A spotlight cut across the water as the chopper closed in. Ethan took one last look at the city he used to protect, then jumped. Cold water swallowed him whole. Minutes later, the hit team found nothing but ripples. Their leader, a scarred man in a black coat, looked down at the river and spoke into his calm. "Cross is alive. Initiate shadow protocol." Somewhere beneath the city, Ethan dragged himself onto the riverbank, coughing up water. He looked at the drive in his hand, the truth still intact, and whispered, "They want a war. I'll give them one." And just like that, the ghost came back to life.
2 days later, the city of Berlin buzzed with the hum of early morning traffic. Somewhere in the chaos, Ethan Cross was just another face in the crowd, hood up, eyes hidden behind dark lenses. His body ached, his ribs were bruised, but he was alive. He checked into a rundown hostel under a fake name, wiped the surveillance footage, and set up his portable terminal. The encrypted data drive sat in front of him like a ticking bomb. As lines of code streamed across the screen, the truth began to surface: coordinates, medical logs, genetic files. Project Helix wasn't just about espionage, it was about bioenhancement experiments on soldiers, people like him. They hadn't framed him to hide a failed op, they'd framed him to erase the evidence. His thoughts were interrupted by the creak of a floorboard behind him. Instinct kicked in. Ethan spun, gun drawn, easy cross. Lena Voss stood in the doorway, her face pale from exhaustion. She looked different now, hunted, like him. "They're watching every channel," she said. "They want you dead before that data gets out. Helix goes all the way to the top. Deputy Director Wolf is running it personally." Ethan's jaw tightened. Wolf, the man who trained him, betrayed him, and burned his name. Before he could answer, Lena's eyes darted to the window. "We have to move. Now." A red dot danced across the wall. "Sniper!" Ethan grabbed Lena, diving for cover as the glass exploded. The shot missed by inches. In seconds, the hostel erupted into chaos, men in tactical gear breaching through both entrances. Ethan returned fire, clipping one, disarming another. He moved like muscle memory: reload, pivot, shoot. Lena covered him from the doorway, shouting, "Back alley, go!" They burst into the rain-soaked streets, weaving through traffic as bullets chewed through car doors. Ethan shoved a passing biker off his ride and gunned the throttle. Lena climbed on behind him, clutching his shoulder as the bike roared into motion. Behind them, black SUVs pursued, engines snarling like beasts. Shortcut through Tiergarten. Lena yelled over the wind. Ethan swerved through the park's narrow paths, tires skidding over wet leaves. Gunfire echoed, shattering statues and benches. He reached into his jacket, pulled a small EMP grenade, and tossed it backward. A pulse of blue light burst through the air, engines died, lights flickered, and the SUVs careened into trees. They rode until the city skyline faded behind them. When they finally stopped at an abandoned airfield, silence hung heavy. Lena dismounted first, breathing hard. You just made every intelligence agency in Europe your enemy. Ethan holstered his weapon. Then I'll need allies. She looked at him sharply. Who could possibly help you now? He turned toward the horizon, where the clouds split open with sunlight. The people Helix destroyed, he said. The ones who didn't die. And somewhere deep inside the government's own shadows.
For nights later, under the flicker of dim halogen lights, Ethan crosswalked into a forgotten subway station beneath Warsaw. The place smelled of rust and dust, a graveyard of trains and ghosts. He wasn't alone. A figure stepped from the shadows, rifle slung across his chest. Marek Bolt Kowalski, former demolitions expert, dishonorably discharged after being accused of selling weapons to insurgents. Another government scapegoat. You really are alive, Bolt muttered, his accent thick with disbelief. Half the world's been hunting your face for years. Good to see you too, Ethan replied dryly. You still like blowing things up, Bolt grinned. Depends who's asking. Ethan placed a data drive on a crate. Project Helix. They used us, all of us, enhanced our reflexes, our stamina, our perception. Then they burned us when we got too close to the truth. I'm taking it all down, Bolt's grin faded. That's suicide. Maybe, Ethan said, but I'm done running. The sound of footsteps echoed down the tunnel. Bolt raised his weapon, but Ethan gestured for him to lower it. A tall woman emerged from the shadows, her movements precise, deliberate. Jade Tran, former MI6 assassin, presumed dead after a failed op in Istanbul. I heard whispers. She said softly, a ghost looking for revenge. I thought it was a rumor. Rumor's real, Ethan said. I need your help. Jade studied him for a long moment. I don't do causes anymore, Ethan. Only contracts. He tossed her a folder. Photographs of black site labs, prisoners, test subjects with surgical scars. Then consider this one hell of a contract. She opened it, her expression hardening. These people, they experimented on kids. Yeah, Ethan said. We ended. Hours later, the three sat around a rusted table covered in blueprints, stolen intel, and ammunition. Ethan pointed to a map of Zurich. Wolf's running Helix from a hidden lab beneath a corporate front called Valentech. Security's tight. Biometric locks, automated turrets, satellite backup. But there's a weak point. A communications hub in Prague. If we take that down, we cut their surveillance in half. Bolt nodded. I can rig something to fry their servers. Jade leaned forward. And what happens after that? Wolf's not the kind of man who hides forever. Ethan's eyes darkened. That's the point. I want him to come for me. Later that night, as Ethan checked his weapon, Jade approached him quietly. You sure about this? Once we start, there's no turning back. Ethan looked up, his gaze cold but steady. Helix took everything from me. My team, my life, my name. They made me a monster. Now I'm giving them one back. Far away, in a skyscraper overlooking Zurich, Deputy Director Wolf stared at a live feed from a satellite. Ethan Cross, alive, armed, and building an army. He smiled. Activate the Black Division. It's time to hunt the ghosts, and somewhere in the dark, the war officially began.
The night sky over Prague burned with city lights. On the rooftop of a 12-story building, Ethan cross-crouched beside Jade and Bolt, overlooking the glass tower that housed Helix's communications hub. Rain slicked their gear, thunder growled overhead, the perfect cover for an operation that could ignite a war. Two guards on the north entrance. Jade whispered, eyes on the scope of her suppressed rifle. Thermal shows 6 more inside. Rotating patrol every 4 minutes. Bolt adjusted the explosive pack on his back. I plant the EMP, fry their servers, we ghost out. Simple. Ethan's voice was calm but sharp. Nothing about this is simple. We go in silent. No casualties unless necessary. We need intel more than we need blood. Jade smirked. You're getting soft, Cross. Just efficient, he said, sliding his mask into place. They moved. 3 shadows slicing through the storm. Jade took the first 2 guards down. 2 shots, 2 bodies crumpled before they even hit the ground. Ethan breached the side door using a magnetic lockpick. Inside, sterile white corridors hummed with machine noise and security drones floated lazily along the ceiling. Bolt knelt by a control panel, fingers dancing over the keypad. Give me 30 seconds. Ethan kept watch, his pulse steady. The walls here reminded him of Helix's labs, the smell of antiseptic, the cold hum of inhuman precision. He pushed the memory down. Suddenly, the lights flickered red. An alarm blared. 30 seconds are up, Jade hissed. Bolt swore. Tripwire encryption, someone changed the codes. Gunfire erupted from the hallway. Ethan ducked behind a console, returning fire with lethal precision. They knew we were coming. Backup plan? Bolt shouted. Ethan threw a flashbang, blinding the advancing guards. We finished the job anyway. Bolt ripped open his pack and slammed the EMP charge onto the server core. Charge set. 30-second fuse. They sprinted for the exit, bullets chasing their heels. Ethan dove over a railing as the charge went off. A pulse of blue light surged through the building, frying circuits, shattering screens, and plunging the hub into darkness. Outside, the shockwave shattered windows for blocks. Power grids flickered across Prague, half the city going dark. The team regrouped in a storm drain beneath the bridge. Jade checked her gear. EMP worked. They're blind for now. Ethan wiped rain from his face, catching his breath. We hit them harder next time. Bolt frowned. You don't get it, Cross. That wasn't just a security team up there. Those were Black Division operatives. Wolf's private kill squad. Ethan froze. How do you know? Bolt tossed him a small metal tag, an insignia shaped like a serpent wrapped around a cross. I wore that patch once, Bolt said grimly. Until Wolf made sure I didn't exist anymore. Ethan stared at the emblem, anger burning behind his calm. Then it's official. This isn't just survival. It's war.
The storm rolled over the Alps like the wrath of gods, thunder shaking the sky, lightning clawing at the jagged peaks. Beneath the storm, carved into the heart of the mountain, was Helix Prime, a fortress of steel, concrete, and secrets. Inside a snow-covered cave a few kilometers away, Ethan cross-checked his gear in silence. His face was hardened by loss. Jade stood nearby, loading her rifle. The betrayal still hung between them, unspoken but heavy. Do you trust her? Jade asked quietly. Ethan looked up. Lena Voss sat apart from them, her wrists bound, her face streaked with dried tears. No, he said flatly, but I need her. Lena's voice trembled. I can get you through the outer gates. After that, you're on your own. Ethan adjusted his vest. That's all I need. Hours later, 3 snowmobiles roared across the frozen valley, engines muffled under the storm's fury. Lightning lit the sky as they neared the perimeter fence. Electrified, guarded by drones, Lena guided them to a narrow ridge. Their maintenance tunnel, and monitored, leads straight to the lower labs. Jade smirked. Looks like she's telling the truth this time. Ethan cut the fence in motion for silence. They slipped through the tunnel. I see water dripping from the ceiling. The deeper they went, the louder the hum of machines became. The heartbeat of Helix itself. At the end of the corridor, an armored door blocked their path. Lena stepped forward, typing a sequence into the keypad. The light turned green. Go, she whispered. Ethan paused. What about you? I'm staying, she said softly. You need a diversion. He stared at her, searching for deception, finding only guilt. Then he nodded. Don't die for them, Lena. She smiled weakly. Too late for that. The door opened into chaos. Labs filled with glowing tanks, scientists scrambling as alarms blared. Jade moved like a ghost, taking down guards with surgical precision. Ethan stormed toward the command center, bullets cutting through glass. Inside, massive screens displayed Helix's data, DNA strands, neural schematics, human test results, and at the center of it all stood Wolf. He turned as Ethan entered, calm amid the storm. Cross, you are my best creation. Ethan leveled his rifle. You turned me into a weapon. Now you get to see what you built. They clashed like predators. Wolf moved fast. Enhanced reflexes, augmented strength. He was Helix's masterpiece. Ethan blocked a strike, countered with a blade to the ribs, but Wolf barely flinched. You think you can kill me? Wolf sneered. You're me. Ethan grabbed a live wire from the control panel, sparks flying. Then I'll kill both of us. He jammed it into Wolf's chest. Electricity surged. Arcs of blue light filled the room. Wolf screamed, convulsed, and fell. Ethan staggered back, smoke rising from his jacket. Jade rushed in, pulling him away as the systems began to overload. Facilities going critical. She shouted,